This conference will now be recorded.
Okay, let's go first see that. Open my Power BI desktop. Yeah, today we are going to see that what are the options we have it at Power Query level. So what are the more options which we have it? We have seen few of the options, right? Let's go first see that what else we have it. So get connected to the data source. So I want to use the same existing sample data set that's we have it financial. Okay, we have the sample data set here. Let's name it as financials. Okay, let's get that. Edit transform data. If you want to directly go to the Power Query editor, we are in this window, right? The window is like we have it like where we can go for build the visualizations. So from here I want to go back to my Power Query editor. I want to go back to my Power Query editor. So how we can go that? Anyone know that how to open the Power Query editor from this window? So Power Query means its editor means it's nothing but a transform your data. You want to do some changes on your data set. That's we are going to say that transform your data, right? Can we see that any icon in the topmost list where we can go for transform data? This is option, right? So we can go for it, transform data. Click on transform data. So you can directly open that query in the Power Query editor window. The pop-up window will be open. There we are going to be transform our data in Power Query editor level. Okay, is my voice is clear? Okay, right. So today we can see that how we can go for do the changes at Power Query editor level. Yeah. So here what I have seen yesterday is we have seen that what is the data source settings and how we can go for split the columns, right? We can go for split the columns. So today we are going to see that how we can create a parameters, how we can go for create a parameters and what is the merge queries and appending queries, and we have that duplicate and references. What is mean by duplicate and what is mean by references? Okay, let's go first see that first. What is the difference between duplicate and reference? We have the two options here. What is mean by duplicate and what is mean by reference? Okay, what is mean by duplicate and what is mean by reference? So duplicate means, so let me do something here. I want to change the name of the fields. Right mouse here, rename. I am doing that. I can give it product name. Okay, we can rename the field, right? What are the field we have it? Rename it. Okay, product name. I want to go for check that data type detect data type. Click on it. Automatically the data type can be assigned to that particular fields. Okay, so next I want to go for see that is there any changes is required here, sales price or what happened. We have done some changes at our query level. The query level we have done some changes. Okay, we have done some changes at Power Query level. So what are the steps we have done? Can you find it here? Change type, renaming column, change type one, right? Applied steps. Okay. So applied steps we have it. Okay, the applied steps we have it. So you can go for right mouse on this set. You can directly go for duplicate that particular query. You can duplicate that particular query. Click on it. Can we see that we are duplicated this particular query? Whatever we have it is financial query we have it. That's we duplicated financial too. So what are the steps you applied on the main query? What are the query base query we have it? Those are all steps also be available in the duplicated one. Okay, available in the duplicated one. It's nothing but a duplicating the existing query with applied steps. With whatever the changes we have done, same steps can be applied to the duplicate query as well. duplicate query as well. Okay, so the second point is the duplicate query cannot depends upon the base query. Okay, the duplicate query, the financial 2 is duplicated from this query, right? Financials. Okay, at any case it cannot be depends upon this query. Okay, it will be work like a individual query, power query. Okay, it will work a individual power query. Any changes you have done later on the financials, it cannot be reflect on financial 2. So any changes you have done on financial 2, it can be reflected financials. Okay, the queries. So individually it will be work. So both are independent. Those are not depends upon anyone. Okay, let's go for this. I want to remove discount band. I want to remove this field. Go for it. Okay, remove. Okay, answer. Okay, go for it. And we have the options, right? How we can go for remove the field. Remove column. Remove the column. Okay, I have removed the column. That what is the removed column? So in which Power Query I did that? Financial 2. Okay, in financial 2 query I have removed the field. Can we check that the field is available in financials or not? Discount band is there, it is available. Okay, both are independent. Both are independent. Duplicate means exactly what is the query is there. Same you can duplicate into the one more query. Both are independent. There is no dependency on each one. Okay, that is a one key point. At the same time, what are the applied steps you have done on the main query? Those are all steps can be available in the duplicate itself. Available. Those are simply applied to the duplicate itself. Okay, duplicate as well. Okay, so that's the second point. And so now onwards, both will be work like a independent queries. Independent queries. Okay, let's see that and few more points we have it here. Yeah, I can create something. So the duplicate option is used to take a copy of the original query. We take it as copy of original query. When the duplicate the original query, you will note that all the steps will be copied into duplicate query. What are the steps you have done in the main query? All the steps can be copied into duplicate query as well. The duplicate query requires more process because it's create a new objects in the memory. So what happens is when you go for say the duplicate query, so it will take some separate memory space and it load the data. Okay, what happens, it is separate query, entire data it can be loaded into memory when you say that duplicate query. Okay, when you say that duplicate query, the new duplicate query will be isolated from the original query. That means any changes in the original query will not affect in the duplicate query and vice versa. So same point, what we discuss here is same. What are the changes you can do in the main query? It cannot be reflect in the duplicated one. Any changes you do in the duplicated, it cannot reflect in the main query. Okay, cannot be reflected. Okay, so next, the unlike the reference query, you can change the query source in the duplicated query without affecting the original query. So this point we discuss once we see that what is the reference. Okay, what is the reference, we can see that, then we can go for check this point. So then what is the, this is the say that this is the all responsibility of the duplicate. We can say that this is all the key behaviors of the duplicated table, key behaviors of the duplicated table or duplicated query we can call it as. So duplicate means exactly copy of the original query we can take it as. Okay, all the steps, applied steps also will be created. It will work like a independent query. Okay, what is the reference? What is the reference? So they will ask you a question like difference between duplicate and reference queries. Can you give me the what is the differences of reference and duplicate? You need to say that at least 3-4 points what is mean by duplicate and what is mean by reference. In work environment, where you need to go for use the duplicate, where you need to go for reference, you should be know that. Okay, so here you can see that the reference option is used to take a copy of the original query. This is also similar, copy of the original query. Okay, so let me go for create a reference query on my base query. You can go for right mouse here, reference, you can click on reference. Okay, so this is financial reference query. Rename it. Okay, underscore reference, you can say that a reference. Okay, you can see that. So now you observe that financials. So how many steps we applied here? 1, 2, 3, 4 steps. We applied the four changes. We did the four changes on the base query. We did the four changes. We changed the data type and we renamed the column. Excuse me. And we remove the field as well. So four changes we have done it. The four changes cannot see that the applied steps cannot see in your reference query. Cannot see in the reference query. Okay, so this is the first difference. When you go for duplicate, what are the changes, applied steps you did? Same thing can be applicable to the duplicate as well. Okay, same steps you can find in the duplicate as well. Whereas if you go with a reference, you can go for copy the original query. Okay, you cannot see the applied steps. Original query, whatever it is there, before you can apply these all the changes, what is the original query is there, that can be taken to the reference. That can be taken to the reference. Here you cannot find any applied steps. Okay, that's the first difference between reference and duplicate. Got this point? What is the difference between first difference is applied steps, duplicate, whatever the applied steps are done in the base query can be reflected in the duplicate. When you go for reference, the applieds cannot be reference. Original query it can go for take a copy of it. And that is called a reference. Okay. The second point you can see that financials. I want to go for I want to remove country field. So when I go for remove my country field in the base original query, what happens? Can anyone tell me what happens in duplicate? What's happened in reference? Any guesses? What happens here? The సో బేస్ క్వరీలో కనుక మనం ఏం చేస్తున్నామంటే కంట్రీ అనే ఫీల్డ్ని రిమూవ్ చేస్తున్నాం. సో ఏం జరుగుతుంది రిఫరెన్స్ టేబుల్లో ఏం జరుగుతుంది రిఫరెన్స్ క్వరీలో అండ్ డూప్లికేట్ క్వరీలో ఏం జరుగుతుంది? ఎనీ గెస్?
No.
యా యా
Can
గో
you hear
హెడ్.
me?
Yes.
Reference is through
We cannot hear you. Okay, let me explain that. Okay, I'm not getting your voice. Fine. So we can see that when you go for do the removing the field from the base query, removing that particular selected column, I am removing, remove column. Okay, I removed it. Okay, where I can ఎక్కడ రిమూవ్ చేసిన నేను బేస్ క్వరీలో రిమూవ్ చేశాను. Then when you remove the field from base query, then you can go for check the duplicate table కి చెక్ చేసామనుకోండి, కంట్రీ ఫీల్డ్ ఈస్ దేర్ ఆర్ నాట్? కంట్రీ ఫీల్డ్ ఉంది కదా. Is there a country field or not? We have the country field. Duplicate లో there is no effect. So base query లో if you did the changes, duplicate లో duplicate query లో there is no changes. It cannot affected in the duplicate query. If I go with the reference query, can we see that? Country field here? Country field ఉందా?
no.
Do you have country field? No. So then what it means? What are the changes? Base query లో చేసిన changes can reflect on the reference query. Okay. So base table లో ఏవైనా changes చేస్తే those can be reflect on the reference query. Okay. Any changes you do in the base query, those can be reflect on the reference query. Okay. Reference query లో affect అవుతుంది. Okay. Can I do any changes on my reference query? Can I do any changes on my reference query? Go for product name. Okay, remove the column. I did change on my reference query. I removed that column is product name. Can we check your base query? Product name is there. Product name ఉంది కదా. సో రిఫరెన్స్ క్వరీలో చేసిన చేంజెస్ మళ్ళీ బేస్ క్వరీకి రిఫ్లెక్ట్ అవ్వవు. ఓకే, సో బేస్ క్వరీలో చేసిన చేంజెస్ కెన్ బి రిఫ్లెక్టెడ్ ఇన్ టు ద రిఫరెన్స్ క్వరీ. ఓకే, దిస్ రిఫరెన్స్ క్వరీ ఈజ్ ఆల్వేస్ డిపెండ్స్ అపాన్ ద బేస్ క్వరీ. ఓకే, సో వాట్ ఎవర్ ద చేంజెస్, ఏవైతే చేంజెస్ మనం బేస్ క్వరీలో చేస్తామో దోస్ కెన్ బి రిఫ్లెక్ట్ ఇన్ ద reference query. Reference query lo if you do any changes, this cannot be reflected in your base query. Clear that point?
Yes.
Okay, that is the main difference of duplicate and reference. Duplicate and reference. Okay, so let's see the points. Go for here. So reference, the reference is used to take a copy of the original query. It copied original query without custom steps. Without custom, it copy the original query. It will take the copy the original query without custom steps. Without custom steps means what are the applied steps you did on that base query. ఏవైతే చేంజెస్ మనం బేస్ క్వరీ మీద చేస్తామో అవన్నీ రిఫరెన్స్ క్వరీకి రిఫ్లెక్ట్ అవ్వవు. ఓకే, ద ఒరిజినల్ క్వరీ హ్యాస్ సమ్ ఆఫ్ ద అప్లైడ్ స్టెప్స్. ఒరిజినల్ క్వరీలో ఈవెన్ మనకి అప్లైడ్ స్టెప్స్ ఉన్నా కానీ రిఫరెన్స్ క్వరీ ఏం చేస్తుందంటే ఇట్ రిఫర్ ద యాక్చువల్ ఒరిజినల్ క్వరీని రిఫరెన్స్గా తీసుకుంటుంది. You will note that all the applied steps will be removed from the reference query. So ఏం చేస్తుంది, it will remove the all the applied steps and as usual original query తీసుకుంటుంది. Only stored steps will be available in the new reference table, cannot be edited. Okay, so source table ని తీసుకుంటుంది. The reference query does not require more process because it just act as a pointer to the original query. So it doesn't take much time because it's directly pointing to the original query and in memory, and it does not create any new object in the memory. So at the same time, one more point, when you create the duplicate, okay, it will create a duplicate, it will take some space from the memory. Duplicate will take some space from the memory, but reference cannot take any space. Reference cannot take any space because it doesn't create any object in the memory. Okay, it doesn't create any object in the memory. Okay, reference అనేది any object ని create చేయదు. The reference query mainly depends upon the main query. So any changes original query will be affected into the reference table. So just we seen that మనం just చూసాం కదా. So any changes is happen into the original query అవి ఏం చేస్తాయంటే reference table లో కూడా ఎఫెక్ట్ అవుతాయి. The new applied steps in the original query will be applied to the reference table. Okay, so suppose once you created the reference, మనం ఏం చేసాం ఆల్రెడీ reference create చేసాం. Okay, once we created the reference create చేసాం. Okay, this is the reference table on my base table, right? ఇక్కడికి వెళ్ళి కనుక if you do some changes here, ఏం చేస్తున్నా నేను సేల్స్ ప్రైస్ని ఐ వాంట్ టు చేంజ్ ఇట్. సేల్స్ ప్రైస్ ఏముంది, ఇట్స్ ఏ హోల్ నెంబర్గా ఉంది. ఐ విల్ చేంజ్ ద డేటా టైప్ ఇంటూ డెసిమల్ నెంబర్. ఐ విల్ చేంజ్ ద డేటా టైప్ ఇంటూ డెసిమల్ నెంబర్. ఏం చేసిన 1.2 డెసిమల్గా మార్చేసిన. ఓకే, సో లెట్స్ సీ దట్ ఇన్ ద రిఫరెన్స్. కెన్ యూ సీ దిస్ 1.2 డెసిమల్గా చూపిస్తుందా లేదా? ఓకే, మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చర్ చేద్దాం. మ్యానుఫ్యాక్చర్ ప్రైస్ ఎంత ఉంది, 3 అట్లా ఉంది. ఇక్కడ డేటా టైప్ 1 2 3 ఉంది. ఐ కెన్ గో ఫర్ మెయిన్ query and manufacturer data type I am changing it into decimal ka data type ni decimal ka మార్చేస్తాను. Can you check in the reference? Can you see the changes is reflected? So whatever the changes you do in the base, those are all can be reflected into the reference query. Those are all can be reflected. ఎక్కడ ఏవైతే చేంజెస్ చేస్తామో మనం బేస్ క్వరీలో ఆ చేంజెస్ అన్ని రిఫరెన్స్ క్వరీలో రిఫ్లెక్ట్ అవుతాయి. ఆ చేంజెస్ అన్ని రిఫరెన్స్ క్వరీలో రిఫ్లెక్ట్ అవుతాయి. ఓకే, that is one more important point, and it cannot occupy any space. It doesn't take any space in the memory. Okay, when you adding a new column or renamed a delete a column from the original query, those changes will automatically reflected into the reference table, but it will not be added a new step in the reference query. So what are the changes we are doing that? What are the changes we are doing that? So ikkadiki వెళ్ళేసి what we are doing in the main query. So we removed a column and changed the data type of the manufacturer price and sales price. We data type change data type, right? So we did that. So ఇక్కడ ఒక అప్లైడ్ స్టెప్ యాడ్ అయింది. We did the change data type కాబట్టి. ఓకే, ఇక్కడ చేసిన చేంజెస్ డైరెక్ట్గా రిఫరెన్స్ టేబుల్లో రిఫ్లెక్ట్ అవుతాయి, కానీ దెర్ ఇస్ నో అప్లైడ్ స్టెప్స్. ఇక్కడ అప్లైడ్ స్టెప్స్ ఏమీ యాడ్ అవ్వవు. జస్ట్ చేంజెస్ ఇన్ మెయిన్ క్వరీ, those will be reflect, but no applied steps can be added. ఇక్కడ applied steps ఏమి యాడ్ అవ్వవు. Okay, that is the point mentioning that. Okay, any custom steps in the reference table will not be applied affected the original query. Any custom steps in the reference table will not be applied or affected the original query. So what are the changes you do it? What are the changes you do it at reference query? Thus cannot be affected the my original query. సో మనం ఇక్కడ ఏవైతే చేంజెస్ చేస్తున్నామో అవి ఒరిజినల్ క్వరీని ఎఫెక్ట్ చేయవు. ఒరిజినల్ క్వరీ యాజ్ ఇట్ ఈస్గా ఉంటుంది. సో దట్స్ ద మెయిన్ డిఫరెన్సెస్ ఆఫ్ డూప్లికేట్ అండ్ రిఫరెన్స్. ఎనీ క్వశ్చన్స్? క్లియర్ దిస్? సో దే విల్ ఆస్క్ యూ వాట్ ఇస్ ద డిఫరెన్స్ బిట్వీన్ reference table and duplicate. Okay, reference between duplicate and reference. What you can say that the main points you can say that. So when you go for duplicate, it will work like an independent query. Okay, isolated query. Okay, it cannot depends upon the main query anymore, and it will occupy some memory from the uh, storage. Okay, when you go for reference always depends upon the base query. What are the changes we do in the base query? Those can be reflected in the reference query. Okay, what are the changes we do at the reference level cannot be affected in the original query, and reference query cannot take any memory. Okay, cannot take any memory from the storage. Okay, that's the differences you need to say that. Clear that? Any questions? Okay, and a few more points related to duplicate. Let's see that. You should use the duplicate query in a Power Query editor. Power BI follow the cases. When you go for use this duplicate, if you need take a exact copy of from the main query with all applied steps. When you go for say that exact copy of the main query we wanted, then we can go for create a duplicate with the applied steps also we can get it. మనకి ఎగ్జాక్ట్ మెయిన్ క్వరీకి ఎగ్జాక్ట్గా రెప్లికా కావాలి అనుకోండి, ఎగ్జాక్ట్ రెప్లికా కావాలి అంటే దెన్ యూ కెన్ గో ఫర్ యూజ్ ద డూప్లికేట్ ఆప్షన్. ఓకే, విత్ అప్లైడ్ స్టెప్స్తో సహా వచ్చేస్తుంది. ఓకే, ఇఫ్ యూ నీడ్ టు టేక్ ఏ ఐసోలేటెడ్ కాపీ ఫ్రమ్ ద ఒరిజినల్ క్వరీ, okay, isolated copy from the original query, we can get it use the duplicate. If you need to add additional steps with a different configuration without affecting the original query. So what I'm pointing here is, so additional ga some changes you want to configure it, you want to do some different configurations on the query, so those cannot affect the base query. Okay, base query మీద ఏమి ఎఫెక్ట్ పడకుండా if you want to do some practical configurations, then better you can go for duplicate that query and do whatever you wanted. If it is get failed, remove the duplicate, original query will be there for our backup. Okay, original query అలాగే ఉంటుంది. So that is we can do it using the duplicate. So here we have one more option called as copy table in Power BI. One more option we have it, copy table in Power BI. So how this copy table difference with duplicate and reference? How the copy table is different from duplicate and reference queries? Okay, so how we can do that? The copy and paste option is also used as a copy query in Power BI query editor. It seems to be a duplicate query, but it actually neither reference action or not duplicate action. It's work like a duplicate, but it's not a reference or duplicate. Okay, practically if you perform a copy paste from the table with a normal query, that not depends on other queries, it will be act as a duplicate query. So let's see that. So what we can go for, do that, go for it, right mouse on the base query, right mouse on the base query, copy it and paste it here, and paste it here. Now what we did is we just copy the financial query and paste it here. Okay, paste it here. Now can we see that first step, financial, what are the applied steps we have done? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 applied steps are there. Same applied steps are showing in our copied query, copy and paste query. Okay, what are the steps we have done? Those are all can be shown in the copied query as well. That's why they are saying that it's work like a duplicate. Okay, all applied steps we are getting, it's work like a duplicate. Okay, and the next point, however, if you perform a copy paste for the table that depends on other queries like reference table, it will copy all dependency queries as well. Okay, see this. So however, if you perform a copy paste for the table that depends on the other queries like reference table, okay, what it means is suppose, so financial query undi, it is a reference query, right? Financial query is a reference query, right? What is it? It depends upon always, financial reference always depends upon this one. Okay, so it always depends upon financials. So if you go for copy this reference query, if you go for copy this reference query and paste it, మనకి టూ టేబుల్స్ జనరేట్ అవుతాయి, టూ క్వరీస్. వన్ ఈజ్ అ ఫైనాన్షియల్ రెఫరెన్స్ అండ్ ఈజ్ అ బేస్ క్వరీ యాజ్ వెల్. ఇదేమో రిఫరెన్స్ క్వరీ అండ్ దాని బేస్ క్వరీ ఏదైతే ఉంటుందో అది కూడా క్రియేట్ అవుతుంది. ఇఫ్ యూ డూ ఇట్, కాపీ ఇన్ ద రిఫరెన్స్ టేబుల్, రైట్ మౌస్ ఆన్ ఇట్, paste it. See that? So financial 4 is generated and the reference also created. ఇదేమో వాట్ ఇస్ వి కాపీడ్ అండ్ పేస్టెడ్. ఆటోమేటిక్గా దీనికి బేస్ టేబుల్ ఏంటి, ఫినాన్షియల్స్, అది కూడా వచ్చి యాడ్ అవుతుంది, దట్ ఈస్ ద పాయింట్ వీఆర్ మెన్షనింగ్ ఇట్ హియర్. ఓకే, ప్రాక్టికల్లీ ఇఫ్ యూ పర్ఫార్మ్ ది కాపీ పేస్ట్ ఫ్రమ్ ద టేబుల్ with the normal query, that depends, sorry, not this point, this one. However, if you perform the copy paste for the table, that depends upon the another query like reference table. Okay, it will copy all dependent queries as well, okay, then dependent query ని కూడా తీసుకొస్తుంది అనమాట. We'll take a copy from the query that doesn't depends on the another query, doesn't depends on the another query. It means, so copy ఏదైనా డూప్లికేట్ టేబుల్ ని కాపీ చేసాం అనుకోండి, that's the point we are specifying here. We will take a copy from the query that does not depends on the another query. So when we perform the copy phase, it will copy the query with all applied steps and the copied query will be isolated from the original query. Okay, so what is saying is, here you can go for it. So financial 2 is the duplicated query, rename it, it's actually a duplicated query from the main query, duplicate from the main query. Okay, duplicated from the main query. So if you go for copy this and paste it here, okay, so what happens is it will work like a independent query again. It cannot be dependent upon this one. It cannot be depends upon the main query or duplicate query. It will work like a independent isolated query. Okay, so that's we are specifying it. So what are the cases you can go for copy paste? When you go for copy paste query with the query dependencies, so in this example, you can see that query dependency, the reference query already depends upon the main query. At the end is we can say that copy duplicate reference options copy query from the query editor. However, the actions have been different purpose for the edges. So these three are the different. Copy is not like a preference, it's like a reference or duplicate. Okay, copy work for the different purpose. Okay, so finally we can say that reference is different and duplicate is different and copy also is a different from the others. Okay, those three we can use it for the different purpose. Okay, so what is mean by reference duplicate is clear? Any questions here? The points are clear? And the copy paste also, it's a different from the reference and duplicate. Okay, different purpose we can go for use the copy paste option as well. Copy table. Okay, this is all about the reference and duplicate. This is all about the reference and duplicate. Okay, so before going to it, let's see that parameters. Before going to it, let's see the parameters. Okay, so how is the parameters going to be work? Okay, let's go for
This conference will now be recorded.
yeah. Let's see that what is the uh, parameters. So we have the manage parameters options. From here we can create any parameter and we can go for pass the values to the visualization. Okay, let's see that go for take the financials. Okay, I'm removing all applied steps which I have it. Okay, remove this all. The reference I'm deleting it. Okay, and okay. So now how we can go for work on the parameters. Let's see that parameter is nothing but if you want to pass a value to the report based on that value you want to filter the data, then we can go for use the parameter. Okay, so dynamically pass the values and filter the data, we can go for use the parameters. Okay, so the manage parameters, from here we can go for create a parameters. Okay, manage parameters. Okay, so what you want to do is I want to pass my country name based on the value I can pass it. I want to see that related data in my table. Okay, what are the query we have it? Let's see that manage parameters, new parameter. If you want to create a parameter, you can go for create new parameter. Click on it. So mention that first is parameter name. What is the parameter name you want to give it? P underscore country. I can give it P underscore country. I am passing the here. I can say that select type the country name. Uh, Type the country name to show the related data. Okay, so what are the required step type we have it? What is the data type you need to be mentioned is I can say the text. I can pass the text type of value. So here we have the three types: any value, list of values, query. We have three types: any value, list of values, query. Select the any value. Okay, current value. So first, what are the current value you want to pass? So can we say that Mexico? So MEXICO, Mexico. I'm passing the current value as Mexico. Okay, so let's go for, so check it, Mexico is there. So how can you pass this parameter value to this particular financial duplicate table? So based on this parameter, we need to filter this data, right? Which data we want to filter it? I want to filter my country data. Then go for more options here. We have the text filters. We have the text filters. Click on that equals. Okay, equals. So here keep rows where country is equal to. So here you need to mention that generally you can type the country name. You can see the filter. You can see that country details in the query. But here I am passing a parameter. Go for select the parameter. P underscore country is my parameter name. Click OK. Click OK. Can we see that only Mexico country data we can see in the data set? Okay, which I selected in my parameter. Same you can go with this parameter. Okay, give it here Canada. Give it here Canada and see that same in the financial duplicate table. Can you see that Canada country, Canada data only? Okay, So go for parameter, select that, any value you can, new, YO, RK. Okay, can we check that? Give all as capital letters. Okay, no, no, you are correct, right? It's not taking that, YO, RK. Let's see that actually. New York City is not here. Where we have the city, let's see the data. Mm, okay, United States of America is their country. New York, I guess, not there. Okay, Germany, you can go with Germany. Try with Germany. Okay, check it in. National duplicate. We can get the Germany. So this is the way we can pass the parameter. Okay, this is the way we can pass the parameter. Okay, any value. Similarly, we have one more option. New parameter. New parameter. Here I can give the parameter name is p underscore uh, list of values. I can say that list p underscore list of countries. Okay, so same I can give it in my description as well. Anything you can write a description. Type I can give it again text. I am passing the value. Suggested value list of values. Right. So select the list of values. You need to specify that what are the country names you want to take it here. Excuse me. Germany and Mexico and Canada. Okay, like this we can go for take it three countries. Let's take the three countries only. Default value. Which one you want to take? Germany, I want to go for default. Current value, the same Germany. Okay. So this is the way we can create one more parameter where we can go for select the list of values. Click OK. Click OK. Okay. Now I selected German. Okay, go for a financial duplicate. Okay. So here again go with the filters. Clear filter. Already one parameter is applied to this filter, right? Right. You need to be clear it. Clear filter. What are the filters are already there? And go for now text filter equals. Okay. And same options. Go for ABC parameter. So the parameters which we have it, two we have it. P country, P underscore list of countries. Which one we can select it? Which one we can select it? P underscore list of countries. Select that P underscore list of countries. Okay. Click OK. Click OK. Now can we see that Germany is doing by default one? Go for select that Mexico. So maybe that's why we are not getting. Let's see that Canada. Yeah, we are getting Canada. Maybe something Mexico spelling mistake, something we did it. Okay. So this is a list of values. You can create list of values and you can pass those countries to the okay, visualization. So the related data we can see it. right? Next, the third option we have it. Let's go with the third option. So here I want to create a parameter on country field. Parameter on country field. Okay. So go for right mouse on it. Go for right mouse on it. Uh, create new query with this. Okay. So how we can create it? Go for, where is that option? Add a new query. Add a new query. Click on it. So when you go for click on that, we can create a list of values. The list we can create it, that's country. Okay. So can we see that there is a duplicated data, right? There is a duplicated data, right? So why I'm getting Canada only is I have applied a filter on, I have applied a parameter on this. It's showing only Canada. That's why it's getting only Canada. Before going to it, just clear the filters. Okay. Remove this one. Remove this list. Delete it. Okay. Delete it. Go back to that financial duplicate. So take this field country, right mouse, add a new query. Add a new query. So the list is created. Now, can we see that the list of countries are duplicated, right? I don't want to show the duplicated data. I want to remove the duplicate. How can we remove the duplicates in this particular field? Okay. So how can we remove the duplicates is right mouse on it, remove duplicates. There is an option called as remove duplicates. Click on it. We can remove the duplicates from that particular list. So can we see that Canada, Germany, France, Mexico, United States of America, right? Now let's go for create a parameter. Let's go for create a parameter. Okay. So home, where we have that manage, sorry, not manage, right? Manage new parameter. New parameter. Okay, the parameter you can say that P underscore query. Okay, same you can type it Control C and Control V. Same name to మనం description కూడా రాస్తున్నాం. If any, so you can go for say that text only, fine. Okay, any value here I can say that query. Here I can say that query. So query means which query you are passing to here. You need to specify that what is the query you are passing here. The query is country I am passing. So go for here, select the country. Select the country. From the country, what is the current value you want to specify in the parameter? By default parameter current value. Which one we can specify it? So let's say that first one is Canada. I can say that current value is Canada. The query I selected country and current value is Canada. Okay, can you see that? So this is the way I can create my parameter. So click OK. Done the parameter. So based on my parameter, now I want to, based on my parameter, now I want to go for send values to my data. So go for here, text filter equals, okay. So what's the parameter we can select it? Parameter, go for it, select the P underscore query. Click OK. Canada is there. Now go for the P underscore query. Okay. And I can write it. So manage parameter. Okay. So Canada we have given, right? Next what we have is German. Can you see that Germany is getting or not? So what is the advantage with the p underscore query is manually we don't write. If you go for select the list, we need to specify the list of country names. So p query means, so what are the new countries are added to that? What are the new countries are added to that? Dynamically, automatically updated into this parameter. Okay, this is we can call it as a dynamic parameter. So automatically those countries get updated into this parameter. So we can filter with this parameter. That's why we can call it as the query one. We can call it as a dynamic parameter. Okay, clear this so far? What we discuss is clear? What we discuss is clear? Any questions? Yeah. So that's some main different types of parameters which we created, and we have it like how we can go for differentiate that what is the reference and what is the duplicate. Okay, and we have the most important one, we have it here one more, that's we can call it as a merge queries and append queries. What is mean by merge queries and append queries? Okay, can we see that today or we can discuss it tomorrow? Is that fine to continue? Can we discuss tomorrow? Yeah, I don't want to get confused.